Meeting to order. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, folks. Looks like we have a good crew here, at least in the beginning, anyway. Any adjustments to the agenda? Any adjustments? None? Public hearing, we don't have any. Presentations, looks like we're gonna have presentation from Emergency Management Service, Chief Derek Booker.
We all good, Max? Good evening, everybody. Thanks for having us. As you can see, we got a healthy crew in attendance this evening. We don't often get to do this type of thing, so I figured we'd take advantage of it when we could. On February 28th of this year, our crew was called to a call in Jefferson for a female patient who was in medical distress. Upon their arrival, they did an assessment, got her into the ambulance, and she actually went into cardiac arrest right there in front of them. The quick thinking and actions of our crew that were on duty that evening, basically they were able to resuscitate her, get her heart beating again, get her down to Miles, where she was ultimately transferred to Maine Med and received a higher level of care and is home recovering. There's some stats on that I didn't look up, but it's not very often. And especially in our setting, we work and operate in a rural setting here in Maine specifically, where we are kind of against the odds when that sort of thing happens. So I've done up a citation for the crew that was on that evening. I'd like to read it to you folks, and for those on Zoom, just because it sort of covers a synopsis of what happened that evening and affords us the opportunity to present to the staff that were on that call, you know, an award to appreciate what they did on the call on that night. I do have a family member of the individual who was taken care of that evening, who was in attendance. And she's been keeping us in the loop, which has been very nice. With her permission, through email, we were able to sort of make this happen. And she's hoping to stop by sometime later on when she's feeling more up for it, but is well on her way to recovery. So without further ado, I'm gonna read this out loud to you folks and the crew, and then hand these out individually. These are the citations to each member of the crew that was on that call. On the evening of 2/28/25, you responded to a residence for a female patient complaining of nausea, arm pain, and vomiting. On your arrival, you assessed a female patient who reported she had these symptoms earlier in the evening, prompting an EMS response. Still, you encouraged this patient to be evaluated at a local facility, to which she agreed. The patient was moved to the ambulance for evaluation and treatment. You were quick to obtain a set of vitals and place her on a cardiac monitor. While obtaining a 12-lead ECG, the patient suffered a cardiac arrest. She had no pulse and was in a life-threatening arrhythmia, ventricular fibrillation. In summary, the patient was quickly defibrillated in preparation for further intervention, and the presence of cardiac arrest was made. However, the patient regained a sustainable, organized heart rhythm and consciousness. You identified a STEMI in the field and rapidly transported the patient while performing further stabilizing measures. The patient arrived at the local facility and was treated with medications to further stabilize her condition. She was subsequently life flighted to a higher level of care for cardiac intervention. The patient had a lengthy medical course and has made a full recovery with no neurological deficit. Your quick and decisive action on this call saved this patient's life. Your experience, knowledge, and understanding of the dire nature of this patient's condition and your intervention without delay or hesitation allowed this patient to regain a normal heart rhythm and consciousness. Your further understanding that even though she had survived the cardiac arrest, she was still in critical condition and required immediate transport for further treatment allowed her to receive immediate care and transport to a higher level of care without delay. In reviewing this case, you noted your report that the patient's symptoms had subsided prior to your arrival. It's important to note in this citation that despite the patient's symptoms resolving, you ensured her that these symptoms were not normal, and even though she was feeling better at the time of your arrival, she still required evaluation and care. This understanding on your part is the very reason this patient was in the ambulance when she suffered the cardiac arrest. Had this series of events not taken place, the outcome could have been dire. Your expertise, passion, and empathy, combined with quick decision-making and critical thinking abilities, are the reason this patient is alive. On behalf of the patient and her family, as well as the community we serve, I want to say thank you for your amazing work. Keep it up. So, the lead paramedic on this call was Toby Hollis. Come on up, Toby. Thank you. Proud of you. Got a pin to go with it as well. You can wear that on your uniform for a while. The partner on the truck that night with Toby was EMT Gabe Cooley. Yep. Here's a pin for you as well. I can show you a picture. Get it? Captain Anita Sprague. You want to get a picture? And last but certainly not least, AEMT Tim McLaughlin.
Everyone meet up for a picture together.
No.
Thank you. Thank you. Perfect. Sorry, folks. Blanking out on me. You know what? Let's try getting the papers out of the back of it.
Get the film in there.
Yeah. Now let's try. Oh my goodness, what a difference. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us. That's all I got. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Yeah, that's definitely something to be proud of. Thank you. Thank you, guys and girls.
I'm good. I'm sorry.
Citizen comments. Are there any citizen comments? The room empties now, so I guess
They're not here for you, John.
none. Here tomorrow. Select board comments. Abden? Got nothing. Beck?
Got nothing.
Mike?
Yeah, I'd like to read something out of the April 10th Lincoln County News, and then have one comment. And the title was U.S. Marshals arrest multiple fugitives in Waldoboro. And the emphasis here is on fugitives. Reading a little bit into the article, both Stone and Carter Hawkins are wanted on multiple warrants for failure to appear on previous drug-related offenses in Maine. During the arrest, or at the same time and location, authorities discovered and seized multiple quantities of drugs and paraphernalia, including 184 grams, that's about a third of a pound of crack cocaine. And this was what caught my eye. Stone and Carter Hawkins made bail while Whitney was released the day after his arrest. On what planet is that justice? These were fugitives who had skipped out on a court appearance and a warrant for their arrest. How could they make bail? I don't understand that. And finally, I'd like to thank the Waldeboro PD for taking part in that arrest.
There you go, Mike.
That's it.
Bob?
Got nothing.
Nothing.
Other than to say thanks to the EMS for all their great service. Wow.
Just a couple quick reminders. I went to the school board meeting last Thursday. And they voted on their budget that's gonna come forth for a public hearing on May 13th at the Nott Valley High School. I certainly encourage everyone to attend. Most know this, some don't. But at that hearing is when you hear all about the budget to the public hearing, to the public. And then it goes on, it's on the warrant as with no number. So when you go to that hearing on the 13th, you'll hear the dollar value. Don't quote me, it's right around $40 million or so total, a little over maybe.
42.
42, okay, a little over. What's 2 million? So I certainly encourage a lot of people to attend. I'm certainly will be there, and if you can get to do some research prior, typically what the RSU will do is send out a pamphlet describing the budget, and we certainly want to get people out there for that.
I comment on that.
Yes.
This year on the ballot, there's 2 school questions. The one is the one that you implied, or you referred to, and the second one is, do you want to continue that process for the next 3 years? So if it votes yes, that process will continue. If it votes no, then their budget in full has to go before the voters.
Instead of just an open question.
Correct.
Okay.
But I don't know if people are aware of that.
That's good to know. Well, hopefully we can get that word out on that. And the reason that's on May the 13th, on Tuesday, May the 13th, and that is a typical select board meeting. We've moved our select board meeting to the 14th, which is Wednesday here. And we are going to have our public hearing to talk about our referendum questions. And then on May the 20th is the pay as you throw informational presentation, and that's going to be at the high school at 6 p.m. And that's with the Cushing and Friendship residents to learn about pay as you throw. That's all I have. Town managers report. Nothing. What a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So moved.
Second. Moved and seconded. Discussion, all in favor? I have nothing. New business, we have none. Move on to old business, 11.1. Code violation update on 3515 Atlantic Highway. Mark?
Yes.
Couple different things I'll distribute. The second one is subject comes after this. Yeah. So we have made progress on the building that we discussed 2 meetings ago. So it is starting to take shape as far as being closed in and stuff like that. The only issue at this point in time is, well, 2 things. One, we asked for a structural engineer's report to make sure that the building was, structurally sound. I haven't heard back from them. I did stop by today. As you can see, that's when the photos were taken. Was today around noontime. The only other thing I wish they had done is at least come and taken out a renovation permit in order to do this, because this is more than just boarding up the place. This is actually renovating the place. So at some point in time, I'll make contact with them and we can move forward, but we're making progress, and that's the whole intent of this is, to get this place into a position where, hopefully it can be used. There's still some outstanding issues as far as, what is it gonna be? How's it gonna be classified? And then the other issue that we deal with, will be, septic at that point in time as well, so. But, other than that, I would like to, stay the course on that, let the work continue. I will reach out about getting a renovation permit so we can take care of that, unless you have any objections.
Thank you.
Good job.
Yeah.
Abden?
So do you want us to set another deadline for the first meeting in May with this? Give us an update, so if there's nothing finished or what you requested.
I don't think it's necessary.
Okay.
I think that, I think the word has been delivered.
Okay.
And we're getting action, and that's the most important thing. I think I'll continue to work with the owner, and we'll see what we can do. If not, then I can put it back on the agenda at that point in time and we can revisit it, but I think we're good.
Okay.
So. Yeah. The other one, real brief, is just sorry.
You must have been there before I was, because I was there today too. I don't know if you went, did you go?
Yeah, the time is on there. It's
Did you go-
one something.
Did you go in the building?
I looked through, I did not enter the
Okay,
building because
so
I did
went
not have
in the
permission.
building, it's. There's some issues in terms of what looks straight and square there. Your pictures don't really show
Yes.
how out of square those windows appear in person, but I walked all around that floor in there and it was solid.
Yep.
Didn't feel like any of that was gonna come down if somebody got through one of these windows or anything, so. And I chatted with him and he was working on it, so.
Yeah, that was the.
He was working on this door when I was there, so.
I'm
hopefully
assuming
he
that
gets
was
fixed.
probably his son. So,
He was there when I was there.
oh, Robert was himself?
Yeah,
Okay.
he was there when I
Yep.
was there, and that's who I talked to, but
Oh,
he
good.
was working on trying to get that door in place, which would close it in at least.
Do you know whether he's gonna do any exterior work? Some of the fire damage is still there.
Yeah, I mean, there's some definite char that goes on and some eaves and stuff like that. I've got other photos. And those would need to be addressed with a renovation permit to make sure all the sheetrock has to come off. That's all, all gotta go. Right? The electrical would have to be updated. If there's gonna be any plumbing in there, that'll have to be updated. So there's a fair amount of work depending on what the building is going to be classified as. Right now, we just don't know because nobody's come forward with this is gonna be a business or it's gonna be a hot dog stand or whatever. So until we can figure that out.
Well, I think a lot of the neighbors are upset at the way the building is looked.
Mhm.
And you're addressing the access issues, but it
Right.
still doesn't look very good.
No, it doesn't, but I mean, the code is kind of blank when it comes to appearance. There's limited things that we can do as far as the appearance. If the structure is not sound, if there's holes, that allow, animals to get inside and stuff like that, well, that's something that's definitely a code violation and would be taken care of in a renovation permit and stuff. So again, until we can get a renovation permit and find out what it is that we're doing, then I can actually go inside and do, inspection and, framing, all that stuff to make sure it meets the, because there's two different codes. One we deal with where for new construction. The other one is what's called existing building that gets, remodeled. It has to meet the existing building code. So, yeah.
Did he give an indication at all that he's on board with the renovation side of this?
No.
Or-
I have not
You
had
had
a chance to talk to him. Again, I stopped by today.
Yep.
There
okay.
was nobody there. There was some nice music playing, but that was about it. So,
He saw you first.
yeah. So yeah, we'll just follow up with that and keep moving forward and, at some point in time, hopefully I mean, it's a great location. It's got a nice parking lot. There's some very good potential for a building like that. It just, it's an investment and somebody's got to see it as, making it look good. I don't know if anybody's taken a look at the building across the street, and the siding that they're putting on that. take a look when you leave.
Really
They've really done an excellent job of making that look like a professional building. And I can't wait for it to open, so.
Or across the street here, yes.
Yes,
Oh,
across the street here.
absolutely. The old cinder
Yes.
block building,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Which does look great.
The other thing I had was I've got a request in, the location is, it's off from 223 Old County Road. There's a road that needs to go in and get named because of the amount of lots that it's serving and stuff like that. So talking with the individuals, they were more than happy to work with that. I asked them if they had preference on a name. They did. She called up today and wanted to change Way to Lane. But they are requesting that Beaver Dam Lane be a new street in town off from Old County Road.
Is that a subdivision?
It is 3 properties, but it outdates it's greater than 20 years. So by default, it qualifies as a subdivision because it was never taken care of. So there are multiple properties being served off from what used to be like a driveway.
Right.
But now that we have a new house going in on there, it now crosses that threshold and it needs a road name and stuff, so. Any objection to that name?
Motion to approve?
Is
Is there
there,
a beaver dam out there?
I don't know. That's a really good question. I don't know.
Okay, well, probably is.
Yeah,
are there any beaver dam or beaver?
nope. Now, I looked
Lodge
down through the list to
Road.
make sure there wasn't anything
Not
that
a
was gonna
duplicate.
conflict with a, E911 system, and there isn't. So that name would be valid.
I'll make a motion to approve.
A second.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Beaver Dam Lane it is.
The newest road in town. And that is all I have.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, we have 11.2. In your packet, you should have some information on the Route 220 Pintown Road culvert replacement from the state. And the way I understand it is what they need from us is approval to sign off. Let's see here.
They need a permit.
Permit from us.
Yes.
Even though it's state road, huh?
Well, Pintown isn't, is it?
State aid.
Portion of it is.
They're doing it. They're doing the work on.
Okay.
Is it where the old mill dam was? Is that the one we're talking about?
Yeah, it's right there
That big
before
one?
the corner.
This is for overweight.
Yeah.
vehicles.
For our municipal road.
Are they
overweight.
still posted?
No, they came
No.
off, today. Or yesterday.
Well, reading through it, it looks like the state is only looking to have a performance bond and a completion bond. They're not looking for damage to the roads, even though they're their roads.
Right.
So in a way, maybe they're asking us to require that, so somebody is covered when they go down those roads with equipment that's too heavy and tear the heck out of them.
So they're asking us to put a weight limit on the road?
No, the road has a weight limit. They'll be, if they're hauling really heavy equipment, they'll exceed the weight limit. And they need a permit to do that, but we
I've never
could
seen a
also
sign down there
require
with a
them,
weight limit on that road.
we could also require them to post a bond. So that we're allowing additional weight to go on that road, but they're responsible for the damage to it.
What's their road anyway?
Right, and that's why I said, what's?
Yeah. Because
Why is
it's
that?
probably just standard.
Yeah, but the last sentence of paragraph 2 is what Bob's referencing, and it says we have a right to ask for that
We
bond
do.
Yeah.
from the contractor, so. I think we would want one.
Right.
Yep.
There is a section, if I'm not mistaken, of that road that does belong to the town, and I can go get my book and so I can break that out if you want to know what it is.
But that would be- I thought the whole thing was town anyways.
It's in my, the land use ordinance book. Yeah, there's a section that goes to,
Colonel
oh,
Stairs.
is it- Say it again?
The Colonel Stairs.
Yes.
We had the discussion about Elm Street a while ago, and it was just a circular section culvert that was originally there, and that it wound up being a very elaborate and expensive, heavy box culvert. If this is just a simple culvert, like a circular cross section,
No,
then I don't think you'd probably need a bond.
This is box culverts.
But if it's box culverts, we probably need the bond.
That's why they're shutting the road down for a week.
It's only a week.
Huh?
I hope it's.
Yeah, I hope it is. You're right there. You gotta park your other vehicle on the
Then
side.
up the
and
hill,
walk- and
yeah.
Walk over.
Oh, this is on 220 itself.
There's
Yeah.
one 220 south and.
And Fintown.
Oh, they're doing both at the
Yeah.
same time?
Well, one after that.
Oh, okay. I guess I misunderstood that.
So it's an extra 45 minutes to work for me. 30 minutes.
It's a good time to think,
Yeah.
wonder.
You can
I think-
reflect.
Well, well, it sounds like it's in the town's best interest to require a bond.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we pursue a bond.
And can we add to that, the request that the town manager consult with the Department of Transportation concerning the amount of the bond? They allow so much per mile of travel on the road that's affected, so it could be a good deal of money.
Well, a lot of that road is in Warren. Our section just goes as far as the culvert, right?
No, we got a section beyond that too.
We do.
There's a spot in there of Friendship, then it goes back to Waldeboro, then goes to Warren.
Quite a ways.
Yeah, the Friendship line is right into
And the
culvert.
way I read this letter is that they're not committed to only driving on those two roads. So we're giving them a permission to drive on whatever roads they need to drive on at over the weight limits, and that we could require them to have a bond to fix anything that's damaged in that process. And I would just say, yes, we're happy to give you a bond, a permit, but we also want a bond.
We got a motion for a bond. Second,
So moved.
Mike motion.
Okay.
Second. Any more discussion? With some conversation with the town manager on the amount of the bond.
Mhm.
All in favor? Okay. Number 12, agenda for the next meeting.
You have this agency request.
Yep,
Oh. That's in the wrong spot.
oh, this,
It's already right here.
that's, I thought we were gonna do it this meeting.
Yeah.
So let me back up. Old business 11.3, agency request policy. You had that in our packet,
Yeah,
Pam?
that's the last page.
Mhm.
See that agency request?
It's like the one we sent out last year, but it's earlier, which I think is a great idea. So they have time to do their petitions if they want to or need to. I'd move we accept and authorize the letter.
Second.
Moved and second, any more discussion?
The letter's fine, but somewhere we need to make a note or have something that talks about what we do with agencies that we've changed their funding source.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how to actually address that without making it sound like.
Yeah, and I don't know that that needs to be included within the letter that's going out to agencies unless it is something like.
Because we don't honestly, or maybe I'm misspeaking, know that that's gonna be the norm year to year to year.
No, I don't think that we do know that it's gonna be the norm, but I also think if we do that for the next 8 or 10 or 15 years, and then no one on the board at that point has seen it occur in that way,
Mhm.
you get away from it, but then you may come back around to it, or you leave folks there for long enough that it's unknown to anybody who's part of the process. That's the part that I'm concerned about, is that, I don't necessarily, it's not keeping me awake at night, it's not that kind of concern, but, I don't necessarily think that if we've shifted the funding source to one of our trusts, that they should have to re-petition.
Correct, I agree.
So I don't know where that gets documented.
Well, that would be addressed every year. Because every year during the budget process, we would say, we're gonna shift that one.
Hopefully, unless somebody stays in that trust situation. for
Right.
10 or 12 years, and then there comes a point where they can't stay in the trust situation, and now you're saying, well, it hasn't been on the warrant, so now you need a petition to get on the warrant,
Well, they still have to they still have to submit the letter.
but they don't have to do a petition.
They don't do the petition.
That's the part. I don't want people to have to go backwards and do a petition
Right, I agree.
in the future, so I don't know where that's best documented.
Bob,
Yeah, we're gonna do a policy on this and
Hmm.
incorporate it into the investment
Yeah.
policy. I would think that's where we address it, and I agree with you, that's a concern. But the investment policy, as modified, should address that issue.
Okay, that's all
Yeah.
I want to be sure that we sort of
Yeah.
commemorate that so that down the line, we can think logically about how it just occurred, but if nobody's been part of that process, that remains on the budget committee or the select board, then does it get lost? And now people are jumping through hoops.
Yep.
Unnecessarily.
all in favor? Opposed? No.
I don't know that anybody made a motion, but.
Yeah, I
okay.
did.
Very good.
Yeah,
Oh, you
yeah,
did?
yeah, it was already-
Okay.
it was in discussion.
Oh, okay.
You're too busy worrying about this.
Listen, that's where my brain was going. That's where my thought was that we were talking about.
Now we can talk about meeting next agenda for next meeting. That's the
May 14th,
that'd be the public hearing.
correct.
Yep.
The warrant.
That's gonna take up the whole meeting.
We'll pick up a good chunk for sure. There are a couple other things minor, but. they're last.
Anyone think of anything else?
Not off the top of my head. Did you get the liquor license all set?
Yes.
Okay.
It very much simplified that process. That it would never appear here unless it's a brand new request.
There's no issues, it shouldn't have to come here.
Yeah.
If there's issues, then they should.
And I always check with chief to make, before I even ask you guys.
Nothing else to add to the next meeting? What a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?